One of the hardest things about teaching people how to price items in Path of Exile is that you often price different items in different ways. Now, if you want a very basic method of pricing, that would be using a dump tab. It's a method that I think most people are familiar with, but if you're confused about how it works, a quick example would be how I have my tab set up. 24 chaos, 39, 69, 99, 1x, 1.5, 2x, 2.9. I put everything in the 2.9x tab. When that's full, I lower the price to 2x, I make a new 2.9x tab, and I go all the way through, and then I rotate them when the last tab gets full, and I vendor everything in the 24 chaos tab. The prices don't have to be the same, you can set any range you want, but I would generally advise that unless it's really early like week 1, to never go below 10 chaos orbs. I know that might seem like a lot, but you'd be surprised at how much more money you'll make when you don't waste your time with small 1 alch or 1 chaos trades. But what about something where you put it into that 2.9x tab and you instantly get spammed? It's clearly worth more than 2.9x. Well, that's where manual pricing comes in. And so today, I'm going to be talking about how to manually price cluster jewels. In particular, I'm going to focus on large clusters, but a lot of what I'm going to say will also apply to mediums and smalls. The reason I chose clusters is I've gotten a few questions recently about how to price or how to search for them. Since a lot of these questions on how to price them will also apply if you're trying to search for a cluster yourself. And the first thing that's important to keep in mind is the item level. The item level controls what the cluster will be able to roll. And this is an important first step because a large cluster with 8 passives can be really valuable. But so can a large cluster with 12. Unfortunately, 9, 10, and 11 are those awkward middle children that nobody really knows what to do with. So in most cases, you don't want to search for any of those. But to know whether an 8 passive or a 12 passive is more valuable, you need to look at the item level. The general rule of thumb here is, if it's item level 84, 12 passive is much more valuable than 8. This is because at item level 84, you can roll 35% increased effective passives. This leads to some of the most powerful and some of the most valuable cluster jewels in the game. The clusters that sell for 20 or even 100 exalted orbs, they're going to be clusters with 12 passives and 35% increased effective passives, at least most of the time. On the other hand, if it's 83 or lower, then you're generally going to want 8 passives on it. It can't roll 35% increased effective passives, so you're going to want to focus on notables. There are certain cases where a cluster jewel of a lower item level is more valuable than a cluster jewel of a higher item level. And this is based on the notables that someone might want to try to roll on the item. If you're just talking about small passives, higher is always better. But if you're talking about notables, they have very specific breakpoints. Cluster jewel notables require level 1, level 50, level 68, and level 75, which means a cluster jewel that is level 49 or lower could have a different value from a cluster jewel that is level 51 to 67, which might again have a different value from a cluster jewel that is level 68 to 74, which will have a different value from something that's 75 to 83, which again might have a different value from something that's eye level 84. There are times where this doesn't really matter too much, but especially early on, week 1, week 2, it can be well worth your time to check, as someone might be going after a bunch of notables that only require level 50, so they'll pay more for a level 56 cluster jewel than they would for a level 83. And that covers the basics of how to price cluster jewels, at least if we're talking about a white item. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to leave a like on the video. And if you want to see more Path of Exile content, sub to the channel and ring the bell to be notified whenever I upload. On the other hand, if you like non-Path of Exile content, or if you play other games, be sure to check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, where I'm going to be making a lot more videos in the near future, talking about various games that I'm playing and that I'm looking forward to. But what if you have a cluster jewel that's already rolled? Or what if you're looking to buy one? This adds a whole new layer to the search, because notables are a little bit complicated. The best way to see how notables interact is to just put the cluster jewel in POB. This will help you visualize the way that they're added starting with the back of a jewel. Alternatively, you can use something like PoEDB as mod page, where it'll show you the order of the notables, and you can combine things from there to get a rough idea of where each notable is going to sit when you actually have the cluster jewel socketed in your tree. This is important because if a build wants a certain notable, most of the time they'll want it to be on one of the front 2 slots, rather than on the back. So if the specific notable combination pushes it to the back, that might actually decrease the value significantly. On the other hand, if you don't really care what all of the notables are. If your jewel has one really valuable or really rare notable, such as Blood Scent, and you want to see what all the cluster jewels with 3 notables and Blood Scent are, you'll want to use the Has Number Notable Passive Skills filter. What this will do is allow you to search for all cluster jewels that have Blood Scent and also 3 notable passives. It should be noted that if you're searching for this on large cluster jewels, you'll want to set the minimum number of passives to 8, because otherwise you'll get something like a Megalomaniac. Although, that Megalomaniac could be really good and could absolutely be worth it, so you might want to make another search specifically to look at those. Ever since 3.10 when they were first introduced, cluster jewels have been more and more popular. As a result, there's more and more reasons to search for them, and there's more and more reasons to put them up for sale. You might think that, oh, it's probably just some 10 chaos base, and in a lot of cases, it very much will be. On the other hand, there's certain cluster jewels that even the base will be multiple exalts, and you'll definitely want to know this rather than selling it to the first person who messages you, who saw that you put it up for 20 chaos and wants to make a quick profit. On the other hand, knowing how various notables being added to a cluster jewel rearrange the pattern can definitely save you a lot of money. You might be able to find a notable combination that gives you access to the 2 that you want at a much cheaper price than buying the 3 that you saw in a build guide or elsewhere. That build guide might not be trying to waste your money. After all, if you roll your own cluster, even if it's a super rare or expensive combo, it's probably better to just use it than waste all that time putting it up for sale, selling it, and buying a different one just to have a cheaper combo. But knowing that you can experiment a bit, either in POB or manually using PoEDB's page, you can often save yourself some chaos or even a couple exalts. For the most part, a lot of this information can also be applied to medium and small clusters. You can search for 2 notables on a medium the exact same way. And the various notables used on other clusters are also bracketed in a very similar manner to larges. In general, an item level 84 6 passive medium or item level 84 3 passive small is a lot more valuable for the same reason that an item level 84 12 passive large is. And similarly, you might want a lower item level of a 4 or 5 passive medium or 2 passive small if you're trying to craft something specific. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any more questions on cluster jewels, please leave them down in the comments below, or join my Discord and ask them over in the crafting channel, as that's the best place to get answers to crafting questions. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments below, or join the Discord, where you can ask questions, get build help, and hang out with the community. A special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. They're awesome, and they get to show it by having their name on screen in the credits of all my videos. So if you want to see your name here, be sure to check the link in the description. For more general gaming content, check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, and if you want a water bottle or a cool shirt, I have a link to my official merch shop in the description. I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.